All right, welcome into another Deep Dish Sports interview, podcast, video. I still don't know what to call these things, but we're doing it. Mike Carmin joining me in Lafayette. I'm Clinton Cole here in Chicago, talking a little Purdue basketball. The Boilermakers lost a couple close road ones at Rutgers and Illinois, and then they've won their last two on the road. Big Michigan State win last Friday. There's Travion Williams with the shot at the end there. And then last night, the 8th win in a row over Indiana. They got it done, even though 14 turnovers and missing 11 free throws. But, I mean, they got it done. And they've got a game against Penn State on Sunday. So, Mike, let's start with the IU win. I mean, like I said, some of the numbers inside the game, you obviously want to improve. But you go to Bloomington, you get a win. A win's a win. What did you think of the game?
Yeah, I mean, when you can beat your rival 8 straight times for the first time since the late 1920s and early 30s, you're doing something right, not only in that one particular game, but over a long stretch here. I just thought the key to the game was Purdue's three-point shooting early on. I think they hit 6 of their first 7 of their first 10, ended up 11 of 17. And I think that kind of set the tone for them offensively. They felt good. They were in a rhythm. They were able to get the ball inside at that point to Travion Williams. It just kind of opened up the floor a little bit. And it was contributions from different guys. It wasn't just one guy hitting threes. You had Eric Hunter. He hit his first 3. Jaden Ivey was 2 for 2. Ethan Morton came in the second half and hit a big 3-pointer. Brandon Newman hit 2 right out of the gate. So they spread it around. That's an area they've been struggling on the road, shooting the ball from 3, which is not a surprise because that's just the way basketball happens. But they were coming off a 3 of 24 performance at Michigan State. And I think you credit Michigan State's defense for some of that. But Purdue just wasn't able to knock down some shots there. And I think getting off to that good start last night at Indiana from the 3-point range really got them going.
So I'm looking at some notes I took during the game last night. And so during the game itself, I was on a date, whatever, doesn't matter. But so I went back and rewatched it. And even though I knew the score, it seemed like, Purdue didn't pull away until at the very, very end. I mean, it was taking a look at it, Sasha took a charge and it was a 10-point game at the under 8 timeout. And then I think Indiana had it under 10 with like a couple minutes left. I mean, it was still, they were down 8 and missed a 3 or something, or 9 or whatever. It would have been a 2-possession game with a little over a minute left. And he makes that shot. We've still got ourselves a ball game. But it also seemed like Purdue down the stretch, as we mentioned, they did what they needed to do. They found who they needed to find, and they eventually took control and finished the game off.
Well, the one difference in this game, and as opposed to some other games on the road, looking at Rutgers and Illinois, Purdue got down by double digits in both of those games, but would come back, took a lead, but then would have some turnover problems. Then after that, they could never regain their composure in enough time to stay close and stay connected to either Rutgers or Illinois, and the games got away from them. I thought Thursday, they got off to a good start. They had a double-digit lead. IU came back, made it a 4-point game at halftime. Purdue started experiencing some turnover problems. Same thing happened early in the second half. Purdue just could not quite pull away because they were having some turnover issues. I mean, really bad turnovers. They were throwing them wherever.
All over the place, yeah.
These were worse passes than Mitch Trubisky was throwing there. And
man, it hurts.
But that was a period of time where they lost their composure, and you credit Indiana's defense for some of that. But for this team to regain its composure as quickly as it did, get itself together, and then pull away down the stretch, I think is a big sign for them. Kind of been waiting for them to do that, and maybe some of those other road games. But it clicked in this road game, which should be able to set them up to handle similar situations coming up the rest of the Big Ten season.
You mentioned Ethan Morton, that he had a big 3. It's been a weird season for him, obviously from the start and then now. How do you think he is progressing? I mean, obviously doesn't have nobody has a full season or anything like that, but for him, it's been even more different now. He's obviously not the only one in the country who's dealt with it playing, but how do you think he's progressed from where we started the season to where we are now? And then what else are you kind of looking for from Ethan here in the next, whatever, couple months?
Well, I mean, here's a guy that was knocked out by mono,
Yeah.
and anybody that's had mono or knows about mono just knows how physically draining it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, that knocked him out in preseason practices. It put him behind. And I think it's just been an uphill climb for him just to get back physically in shape and then mentally trying to learn Painter's system, whether it's complex or not. I mean, depending on your point of view, but there's a lot of things to learn about that. So I don't think we're going to see what we thought we would see from Ethan Morton this year. And that's not a negative toward him. I just don't think it's going to happen because he gets sick. That allows Jaden Ivey to get more playing time. Eric Hunter was going to play. So there's not a lot of minutes there for him out on the perimeter. He's played some four for Purdue, some small or power forward for them when they go to a smaller lineup. But I think what I was curious to see about him starting the year was just him out on the perimeter, directing things, and then his passing ability. That's all that we've kind of heard. Like he's the best passer that Matt Painter's ever recruited. That's Matt Painter saying that,
right?
Which offended some other players. Dakota Mathias, number one, but I don't think we're really going to see that full
potential
game of him this year. I think we're going to have to wait till next year. And from his standpoint, this is a free year. It's a redshirt year while you get to play because of everybody gets the free pass for this year. So there's really no harm in anything he gets this year. Really is bonus for him. But I think he can come in and do what he did last night. I think he's getting more confidence, getting on the floor, knowing that his minutes are going to be limited, but he's going to have an opportunity to make some plays. And he did last night. That three was big because he was making a run and kind of stretched the lead back out. And he's a guy that you can plug in some different positions because he's of his size, his ball handling ability, and his ability maybe to defend some players down low. But I think by the time his career is over, and it's got another 4 years coming, I think he's really going to be a special player and help this program, be in position to win some championships.
Let's go back to the Michigan State game. They just a crazy game. It was 16-point deficit first half, 15.
It was 15-point deficit first half, 17-point deficit to start the second half, right. And Purdue only scored 16 points in the first half.
Which definitely, when you say a tale of two halves, I mean you look that up there. That game right there is your tale of two halves. But they did what they needed to do down the stretch, and Travion with the big shot at the end, Mason the big screen to get him open. A great play. Everyone knew where the ball was going, and he still got it. So when everyone knows where the ball is going and the player still gets a great look, that's how you know that's a great play. And then the players have to make the plays, and Travion did it. And just an outstanding road win for Purdue last Friday.
Right. That should be the launching pad for them. And I think last night's win at IU kind of reaffirms that victory. Right. Purdue didn't take a step back. They led for nearly the whole game against Indiana. So I think what you've seen here in the last week from Purdue is a step forward. They needed something good to happen to them. And anytime you come from 17 points down, a lot of it is you and your team and doing, but you need some help. And Michigan State gave them some help with some turnovers, some missed shots, just kind of bad overall play. And Purdue was in a position to take advantage. And, there were so many things. The thing that was fascinating to me about that game wasn't that Travion Williams hit a shot to win it. It was the events leading up to that shot that shows kind of what little things mean in a game, especially at the end, where you've got to deny a pass, an inbounds pass. You've got to make a play like Eric Hunter did to try to get a steal, and the ball goes off Rocket Watts. And then you've got Zach Edey trying to, tip the ball on a rebound. And then you've got Mason Gillis diving in there with no concern for his body, trying to get a jump ball. So there was a pathway there to Williams' shot, and all those little things added up. Because if one of those things, if it doesn't happen, you don't win. Purdue doesn't win the game, because you needed all all four of those things to line up for Purdue to have a shot. And that to me was kind of fascinating how that all played out. And now, you're on a 2-game winning streak. You got Penn State coming up, a game that, you should win. And then you're going to jump into another tough stretch, not of your own doing, but just because of COVID situations. Purdue's going to play 3 games in 6 days now.
Yeah, that's gonna be...
So, and you got 1 day prep for Ohio State. So that's welcome to 2021, I guess.
Let's chat about Penn State real quick. As I was looking at the schedule last night, I'm not a big Penn State basketball fan. I'll admit it. So
you're not the only one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not really not the only one out there. So I had no idea they had not played since December 30th, and the game will be January 17th. That's almost 3 full weeks without playing a game. And before we started recording, I mean, there's no playbook for this. There's no way to know what's going to happen on Sunday with Penn State. But I'd like to think the matchup favors Purdue, and I would like to think they get a win at home Sunday.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where we're going to see again, how does Purdue handle success? Mm-hmm. And I think because you're coming off the win against Michigan State, again, did a lot of good things to show that maybe they're ready to take that next step. But this is probably the ultimate gauge of how they're going to handle success this year, because Penn State had to pause its team activities for, I believe, 11 days. So there's been very little activity going on. They're going to have enough time to get ready for the game, but this will be their first game of 2021. I mean, that's just the way it is. And they've got a stretch like Purdue. I think they've got 4 games in 7 days that they have to deal with. So to me, this game is all about Purdue and how it just handles its business. This is a game they should win probably 15 to 20 points. Do they do all the little things? Do they have the same intensity that you have for what you've needed when you went out on the road here these last 4 games? And I think that'll be a sign of maturity and growth, how this game kind of plays out for them. Because if they take care of their own business, I think that bodes well for them as we move along in this Big Ten season.
Hopefully, then we'll get to chat on Monday and kind of review that one, and then take a look at next week, as you said, at Ohio State, and then Michigan at home next Friday. 2 more things, let you run. As far as overall in college basketball, Gonzaga, Baylor, and then everyone else, I mean, is that kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it's
pretty cut and dry at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously it can happen, but...
Yeah, you're fighting a lot of those other elite teams. When you just look at the Big Ten, a team like Iowa is fighting for, one of those top 4 seeds, maybe the number 3 or number 4 seed overall in the tournament. Illinois has fallen off a little bit. They're going to have to do a little bit more to climb back into that conversation. But Iowa is a team that can clearly get one of those coveted top 4 seeds. Now, we don't know how coveted they are this year, to be honest, because
right.
Everything's going to be played on a neutral floor. You don't know how the schedule's going to work, but based on what was announced today is that the NCAA committee will use the S curve to seed the tournament, because before they've S curved the tournament 1 through 68, but they've bracketed the tournament based on geography. Now there's no need for that. So we're getting a true
1 through 68.
Yeah, you get a true feel for what may happen in this tournament, and probably more fair matchups when you get right down to it, because they've had to tweak some things in the past, not big things, but enough to cause some issues. But I mean, Gonzaga and Baylor, I think, are heads above, but I think Iowa's a team there, and I think there's a lot of Big Ten teams that once they get to the tournament, are going to be able to cause some problems for some teams, just based on having to go through this 20-game schedule that is really a gauntlet and really difficult, and who can remain alive as we get to the end here, which makes a fascinating Big Ten tournament as well, because
fun to watch, that's for sure. Yeah,
we're going to have a lot of teams at the bottom that have a chance to make some noise against some of the better teams. And from Purdue's standpoint, you're still looking at trying to get in that middle somewhere between 5 and 10 from a seeding standpoint. They would be closer to 5 today as opposed to be closer to 10. But if they can continue to do what they're doing, then I think they're going to be in a pretty good position come the Big Ten tournament.
Last thing, obviously our Bears didn't do so hot last week. Yeah. So, and then the news obviously this week is both Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are staying. So what did you kind of think of that news? I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I didn't expect them to get fired, to be honest. This is a different year, and I'm not blaming COVID for it. It's just, it is a different year. And I tried to follow the news conference the other day because I was really curious of what George McCaskey and Ted Phillips would say. And what I take out of it is that, I'm a Bears fan, you're a Bears fan. I'm just sad for us. You can be angry that they didn't do anything, and they really did not create a path to give any kind of hope of here's how we're going to fix this. But I just feel sad. I feel sad for people that invest their money. I'm one of them in their tickets and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel sad because the upper management really doesn't have a clue how to get this thing going. And, it's a family-owned business with no football background. It's just to come out of this season and not do anything. I'm not a guy that just, you got to make heads roll just to make them roll, but you've got to have some changes at somewhere along the line and you're still dealing with the same situation that you haven't drafted a quarterback to put in your pipeline. I could go on and on and on, but my overall feeling is just sadness, because really the only way out of this, in my opinion, is to go 0-16 or 1-15.
And the defense is way too good for that right now.
Well, it is. It should be. But there's just the fact that ownership can't, and the lack of transparency in the way that they speak to their fans. I think it was borderline rude during that press conference. So I just have a lot of emotions about what's going on. It's not going to change my rooting interest in the Bears, and it won't change yours. But I think Bears fans deserve more from their ownership and their leadership as far as a way out of this thing. And it just makes me kind of depressed that this is what it's become. Now, I'm fine personally.
Exactly.
There's
our day-to-day lives, we're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. It just, I was hoping to hear something that would say, okay, they kind of know what they're doing. They've got a pathway out of this. Here we go. But the fact that they cannot fix the quarterback position, and in order to do that, you have to give up a lot to trade up, or you have to go out again and sign some sort of free agent to help you create a bridge to somebody else. So it's extremely disappointing, but not unexpected. But we'll kind of see. We'll be back in 2021 to be eager to kind of see what happens and go from there.
And like you said, we're not changing teams. We're going to watch a single game. And
heard a guy on the radio goes, "Yeah, I changed to the Packers like 15 years ago."
I heard that. Yeah,
I feel great. I'm like, really?
Well,
I can't do that.
No,
I'm not going to do that. I can't do that.
All right, Mike. Purdue Penn State Sunday. I'll be there, so we'll see you there Sunday. And hopefully they'll get a win. So appreciate your time, and we'll chat on Sunday.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mike Carmin from the Lafayette Journal and Courier.